Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of the Pixel Crashers podcast, a podcast where we discuss things about gaming and occasionally news and other stuff. We've kind of changed that a lot, so we're going to have to come up with a new little catchphrase for my opening here at some point. Anyway, I am Angelus de Mortiel, together with Kev the Gamer and Xaiphen.
Oh, I'm here.
No, he's not. We occasionally let Xaiphen be in public. It's a rare occurrence, and we have to be carefully supervising him. So, you know. Yeah. Yes. That is.
Blackout curtain and my window to the outside world is here in my office.
Apparently so.
Let people know that.
Oh my. Oh my.
Moonburn is a thing. Moonburn? Okay, maybe that's a bit of a hyperbole. A lot of a hyperbole.
That massive hyperbole, though?
It's okay. I just realized that I had absolutely nothing updated on Twitch, so we went live on Twitch with the old title. Apparently playing Mass Effect Andromeda in the wrong community. Like, everything was just set up right. So I've obviously started off the podcast as always on the right foot. Yeah, that's not painful at all. So obviously we do have things to talk about, a lot to probably talk about in the upcoming foray of E3 that will be hitting soon. But before we get talking about that and Kev goes all fangirl on us, first we're going to talk about some games and things that you've done this week so far. We all know that Kev doesn't play any games. He actually just, yells and screams at them. But, Xaiphen, what have you been playing this week?
Games. You want something more specific than that. I find frequent, like as time goes on, I allot myself for games shrinks more and more. So I've been playing probably maybe 10 to 20 minutes of Warframe every day, and then another half an hour to an hour of Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer every day, and that's about it. I had recently gotten Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain, whatever's the real game, not the Prelude game of Metal Gear Solid 5. There was a deal worked out with Major Stupidity, and he gave me that game with Warframe Platinum because I got a steep discount on that. Don't really have any use for it because I play Warframe a lot, but I don't spend enough time into it to really consider that valuable. So I more or less passed the discount off onto him, and he got me a game for it in its place.
So I will throw it out there that you should be careful about admitting that, because that may be against the terms of service for Digital Extremes. And oh, for fuck's sake, I just realized that nobody could hear you until now. This is great Sunday. So 30-second recap. Xaiphen got Phantom Pain, and
yes.
under potentially dubious circumstances that he won't repeat, just in case there's any legal implications of that.
The Phantom Pain was gifted to me.
Yes, there you go. It was gifted to you.
And also at the same time, I made a trade with a fellow player on Warframe, which is something you can do in the game. Platinum for it was some kind of prime part, whatever it was. It was an in-game trade. It was, if you look at it from one angle, it was a very expensive trade.
So what you're saying is that he gave you a Loki Prime helmet he gave you a Loki Prime helmet for 500,000 platinum.
I needed. It was the Aklex Prime Link, the one missing piece of that item, which is not a great item, but I was missing a piece and I was trying to build it. So I traded that for 2,000 platinum.
That is extremely expensive.
See, Xaiphen's the pay-to-win type. You heard it here first.
Yeah, he just throws money at the game endlessly, which is always fun. So then we have the fun of Kev. So have you done anything new aside from your addiction to console games and being a peasant and all that stuff?
I play Watch Dogs 2. Played Rise of the Tomb Raider again. Played the PC version this time. It was glorious. Trying to think how many I beat GTA 5. I've been just hitting my backlog of games, the ones that I hadn't actually gotten around to finishing. So right now, the game on my list is Watch Dogs.
And Kev doing the stuff that I want to do but never get around to.
Yeah. Well, Kev has strangely more free time to play games. I don't know how that works.
It's funny too because I somehow end up with more free time to play games than Mort does, and I have kids and Mort doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. I just work ridiculously long hours.
Yes. I think that's part of it. Like I'll work some overtime, but I try to dodge that shit like the plague.
Well, you throw in drive time on top of that, makes things crazy.
Yeah, Kev, first of all, I'm salary, so I don't get that fancy thing called overtime. That's why I work long hours. And then secondly, yeah, when you're looking at an hour commute for a 2-mile drive every day.
So you don't walk for what reason?
At some point, it's not 2 miles. It's actually more like I think somewhere around 10 miles. But it's the point where it's to the point where it should be something like a 15-minute drive, and it ends up turning into 45 minutes to an hour depending on the day.
Yeah. It wasn't for the weather that you have in that area. I'd say bike it.
Yeah. Actually, that's a big thing here. They actually have like rental bikes. They have like these orange racks all around the city that that you can actually just put money into and take a bike and then put it into the next orange rack that you find.
Last time I went down to Portland, there were all kinds of bikes around.
Oh yeah, the bicycling is a big thing. They actually have an annual bike race, or an annual bike ride, I should say. And the thing about it is not so much that they're riding bikes; it's that they do it without clothing. So.
Was it a California thing?
No.
Or Nevada?
I didn't know Oregon was that liberal.
Where's Burning Man? Isn't Burning Man in Nevada?
It's something like that, but no, it's in Portland. Is very, 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 very liberal. Part of the reason, but yeah. So in any case, there's that. But in any case, though, I still find that I have at least a couple hours a day that I get to play games, except for recently. Well, no. So up until a couple of days ago, I was kind of I wanted to really disconnect, lay in bed, and be lazy as fuck, using Steam on home streaming, awesome feature, and playing Fallout 4 while laying in bed. Yeah, just because I needed
Steam Link.
Yeah, well, I don't have a Steam Link. I have a laptop that's hooked up to the bedroom TV. Works the same. Yeah. But, so there's been that. I also been playing a bit of Grim Dawn as well. That game is it's really what I would want Diablo 3 to be, and it just feels so much better. Playing essentially a gunslinger witch hunter is just amazing. Or not witch hunter, a gunslinger witch. That's the one I was looking for.
Oh yeah.
Side note, sad news: Adam West has died today.
Wait, what?
Adam West, the original Batman.
Damn.
He died overnight.
The mayor of Quahog is not with us anymore.
Yeah. So true story. Cool. I got to sit and have a 30-minute conversation with him. About I think about 5 years ago, something like that. He was an amazing guy. And he loved Family Guy too. He that was honestly, he seemed more passionate about that than he did pretty much any other endeavor. Most people are like, oh, I was like, oh yeah, it's Batman type of thing. He's like, yeah, you think more people would reference me to Batman, but usually now it's the Mayor of Quahog. I'm like, well, I can see that. Not a lot of people remember the 60s anymore.
Yeah, I was about to say it was the 1960s, so the people who remember it are pushing 60.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, on top of that, he's so much better as the Mayor of Quahog, I think.
Maybe, but
that would be such an, I don't know, from my point of view, that would be such an entertaining character.
Oh, yeah, the miracle.
Like, just like to do that. Like, I'd mess with people in real life about that. Some of his dialogue.
Yep. Like going into a theater with a bag of something and saying like, "I bring my own cream corn. I don't like the movie
That's my
theater's
best
cream
line of
corn."
his. That's my favorite line of
Crunchy.
his.
But yeah.
Well, it's like, I will escape this situation by disappearing into this field of corn. Help! I'm lost in corn.
But yeah, no, like I said, that he definitely was a fascinating individual and someone who was who genuinely, you could just tell he was passionate about Family Guy, which is kind of interesting. Like you wouldn't think just one of the voice actors who's not like the star of the show, so to speak. Like I could see Seth MacFarlane talking and having that kind of passion for it, but Adam West having that kind of passion for Family Guy was kind of interesting. But yeah, so I guess I'm glad I got to meet him and talk with him. But that is really unfortunate that he passed along. He was probably fairly old. Like when I met him, he definitely
he was 88.
Yeah, he definitely you could definitely, he was getting up there. Like I didn't recognize him at all until he started talking, and then you're like, that's Adam West. That voice. So yeah, that's unfortunate. Kev, of course, ruining the mood of the podcast. Thanks, Kev.
Hey, I just embrace nerd culture.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to talk about Batman. I think that falls into nerd culture.
Yes, it very much does. So, yeah. Anyway, so that's unfortunate, but positive note.
Positive note: I started reading X-Men again. That's happy news.
Which X-Men? Which line of?
Well, they're doing a reboot. They started a new run, so I'm reading Blue and Gold.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I know that a lot of them are doing reboots. Like I know DC's doing their DC Reborn.
DC, Rebirth. They started those, and then Marvel, I think, in copying them, are doing what they call the Resurrection.
Yep.
Where they restart X-Men, they restart the Avengers. I think they're going to restart Spider-Man.
Well, and to be fair, I can understand that from a thematic concept, because after a while, it does get a little bit old to keep running the same story arcs and the same, like your characters get so developed to the point where you don't, like, there's nothing new to reveal or to grow about your characters. They're
right. Yeah, that's so true. I've also been a huge fan of TMNT, and I've talked about this here before.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading the IDW TMNTs, and to see their run and how different it is, like it's the same but it's different because it's more about, whereas before it's just the Turtles were like it's just a superhero series. They talk about the Turtles as a family, as a unit.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to completely throw the series on its head in order to keep it from not being bland and boring.
Yeah.
For example, at this point, well, never mind. That's a huge spoiler for anyone that wants to read it. They get involved with the Foot. I'll put it that way. That's all I'm going to say.
Man, that is a huge story. Why would you do that, Kev? Why would you just?
You can't deal with that kind of
spoiler. Just blew my mind, man.
If you see any of the newer ones, it's right on the cover. So that's all I said.
Kev, guys, you just heard it here first. Kev just spoiled everything about the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Only if you don't look at the comic covers.
I know. If you manage to ignore the cover of the comic book that you're about to read,
because the Turtles always get involved with the Foot Clan. That is kind of a running thing, Shredder, Turtles, fighting, involvement.
yeah, that's true. But yeah, that's, like I said, I kind of understand that. It gives them a way to rebuild some characters the way they want. As long as they don't try to do, what was it? Was it DC that a few years back, or no, it might have been Marvel, tried to essentially... They tried to go a political route on a lot of things, and it didn't go over so well for them. And so,
I don't think you can do that. You can't pull that with Marvel.
Well, you can't do that with a lot of characters so much. I mean, the thing is that there can be political statements made in the sense of, in the universe of, like, say, Marvel or DC. there's a political system in play, like say the Mutant Registration Act, right?
Right,
Obviously,
or the X-Men in general is a
yeah,
political statement. It's Dr. King and Malcolm X.
yeah,
That's like the whole premise.
yeah, and that's the thing is that like with the whole Mutant Registration Act, that one was all about kind of what's ethical, what's not ethical type of thing in this kind of scenario, and I feel like that you run into a lot of issues whenever you try to start doing the exact same thing, but with issues that are not so clear, I guess, on the right versus wrong type of scenario. Because, like, for example, if I start seeing stuff that's like, start pushing the inclusivity agenda, and not that inclusivity is bad, but you guys know what I'm talking about,
right? Where you have the creme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they start doing the heavy-handed like PSA stuff. I'm like, no. And they actually, one of the comic books, I can't remember who. Oh no, it was X-Men. Jean Grey essentially freaking Jedi mind tricked and like forced Bobby like Iceman into being gay in one episode. she essentially said was like, no, you're gay. You're gay.
That's only hilarious because Iceman is like the biggest man whore.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is that she was like, no, Bobby, you're gay. He's like, no, I'm not. I love women. You're gay. You're gay. And just like, this whole period. And he's like, oh, wow. I am gay.
That's like making Quagmire gay. That's what's funny about it.
Like that's the thing is that it was essentially like it felt like this whole like this thing where she was essentially imposing and imprinting on him because it's Jean Grey, right? One of the most powerful mutants in the universe. Essentially forcing him to be gay, and it was like this doesn't feel right.
Oh, but it sounds hilarious.
Family Guy or something that just reminded me of. I don't know if it was Family Guy or what. And they're like, I wonder what this drug does. Oh, now I'm gay.
That's really awkward. That's really awkward. Yeah. But yeah, so is like I said, there's a certain level of politics that are going to be inherent into a comic book, and I think that is good. Right, that needs to be there.
Yeah, any kind of there's a certain amount of politics that works its way into any media, but when you get literature in particular, whether it's graphic or graphic or not, like comic books or books, it still happens. It's just a matter of how they apply it. If they don't overrun the whatever they're trying to write to begin with the politics that they're trying to express, that's where the problems start.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, that's where you start to have now. And the thing is, though, is that they could even there's a lot of ways to spin a story, and I think it's nice whenever they do unique spins on a story that play on political issues that are going on today. That's fine, But that's the only concern I ever have when it comes to comic books. But like I said, though, that's not really that's a very rare thing. Almost every time I ran into it, it's actually more along the lines of they reboot these characters because how many times has Superman been killed now?
I don't know.
Wolverine, how many times has Wolverine been killed?
Wolverine's been killed 10 times. I think.
Yeah,
maybe it's 11
Wolverine,
with the last one.
They used to have Wolverine when that was just Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
Which is still Wolverine.
Yeah, but the idea of it is, and I completely understand, is that you have these nigh unkillable characters, and to drum up a lot of emotion out of people of like Wolverine, oh man, Wolverine feels like he's nigh invincible. Wolverine is dead on the cover, and then people are like, "What?" Like I remember that.
I have to read this.
That's how they got me back into comics. Actually, they killed a couple summers ago. They killed Donatello in the TMNT in the IDW, and that made me want to read the TMNTs to see like what the hell happened. So I read from the beginning, got caught up, and it's a great story. The IDW TMNTs are really good, and I started from there. I was like, well, let's see what else is out. Let's see what else maybe I've been missing out on. So I started off with the X-Men because the X-Men were my shit back in the day.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I still remember the salacious cover of The Death of Wolverine, which was I think it was it Wolverine? It was from the 90s or whatever, but it was like this picture of like a metal skull essentially, and it was very salacious, and oh man, there was some.
I remember hearing about it. I didn't read. That was after I stopped reading.
I heard about it afterwards. Like I wasn't. See, the thing is I wasn't huge into like comic books as a kid, so I didn't see a lot of that stuff. But later on, like reading kind of retrospectives on the way that they kind of worked, and I was like, wow, those were kind of huge times for the comic book universe of like Wolverine is dead. What? Well, how can Wolverine die? That doesn't make any sense.
That's what I think about Superman. Like I don't like Superman. I think Superman is boring because he's basically invincible unless you sit him next to a rock.
Yep. There was also
a very particular rock.
There was also something about red sun radiation too that they've introduced more recently. I don't know. The point is that they've introduced more weaknesses to him, and I feel like that really is the whole thing, right? So I feel like that Marvel did the nigh invincible person better with the Hulk, right? The Hulk at least in the comics, they don't do this as much in the movies, sort of, but in the comics, he is pretty much fucking invincible and infinitely strong. Like, the more he gets pissed off, the stronger he gets. And he seems to have endless amounts of rage that he can call upon. So it's kind of one of those, things of, like, good God, this guy is, we have an army. Well, we have a Hulk. Yes, that is a literal, that was one of the greatest Marvel statements ever made. Because he is literally a nuclear weapon.
Right, and when you say it like that, it kind of makes the Hulk seem weird. I like Anchorman who said this on one of his videos, and it's very true in the comparison of Marvel versus DC, where DC are men who ascend to godhood as opposed to being gods among men in the DC universe.
Yeah,
and I feel like Hulk fits very much more so in the DC universe in that way.
What do you mean?
I think you would have it the other way around because
he's a god among men.
DC. Yeah, well, DC. What is Superman?
Yeah, he's
a god among men.
He's a god among men.
Well, you said it the other way around.
Oh yeah, I was meaning that like the Marvel characters are kind of men who ascend to godhood.
Well, the thing is that Marvel.
This Hulk started out as Bruce Banner.
Yeah, and he is still Bruce Banner. Sort of. He
until you piss him off.
Yeah,
like you
control it by always being angry.
Yeah.
The reference from the movie Kill Bill Volume 2 was one of the most awesome comparisons that I've, comparative analogies I've ever heard. Was, reference to Superman, because, most, like, there's some people that are, yes, really diehard Superman fans, but he doesn't have as much popularity as some lesser characters, because he is a little bit too morally inflexible. He doesn't have the, you might do something bad sort of situation with Superman. So it makes him a little bit less entertaining to some people. But one of the most interesting things that was pointed out by Bill, the character Bill, was that Superman he's not a person that becomes the hero. He's already the hero that has to hide as an ordinary person. So what Clark Kent is not his, who he originally is. Clark Kent is the mask that he has to put on, whereas you look at a lot of almost all of the other superheroes, they have to put on the mask to become the hero.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's something that I always found interesting about him, and that is definitely, more of a God among men effect as opposed to any of the others.
And the thing is that there are several heroes in the DC universe that are of that caliber. Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Aquaman. Yeah, those are all people who were born into and always were this hero status, or I should say this super being status, who then have to disguise themselves as average everyday citizens. Whereas when you go across the aisle, you look at a lot of the other guys, Tony Stark or Reed Richards or Peter Parker. Those were all people that were exceptional.
You look at Marvel, a lot of the gods among men, there are some in the Marvel side. A lot of them are the bad guys. Like, look at Apocalypse.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Apocalypse is definitely, he's a god among men, but he's Thanos too.
Yep.
They're the bad guys.
Yeah, but there aren't a lot of them like that. A lot of them are just mutants or people who became or Juggernaut. I don't even know where the hell Juggernaut's origins come from.
It's a magical totem.
Well, no. Oh, okay. He was a normal guy. In fact, isn't he Scott Summers' cousin or something like that?
Xavier's half brother.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Half brother, yeah. Half brother. And then he found some kind of ancient totem that kind of gave him that unstoppable force. Once he has momentum, he can't be stopped. Whole thing.
Like if you're looking at DC's, as a total, their accumulation of who was it that did Watchmen? I can't remember who originally did Watchmen, but DC bought them out, so DC owns Watchmen. But like, say you look at Dr. Manhattan, he started out as an ordinary man, and he is like, if you look at compare him to any other comic character, he's got to be like far and away the most powerful. Absolutely.
Oh no, yeah. Well, okay. So in the DC universe, yes, but if we start getting into the Marvel universe, there are several reality-shaping characters. One of which got a nerf in translating to the Marvel Cinematic Universe for obvious reasons. Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch could actually warp and change reality. Like, she is one of the most powerful mutants in existence.
I believe Rachel Summers can do
Scarlet Witch.
Yes, Rachel Summers.
They wanted to put her into the Avengers, not
her own
Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
No, she would have fit better in Doctor Strange, honestly, with her original character.
But there's the other part of
or
it,
at least
too.
The world that they built in the movie.
Now, conversely, they did, and I think this is a great... By the way, if you guys have not seen this show, I definitely recommend it highly. They did go into one of the other most powerful Marvel characters in existence, Legion, who is... He is the another reality-shaping... telepath, telekinetic, like just every mental power you can...
Basically, the telekinetic mutants in Marvel Universe are beasts. All of them.
Yes.
They're labeled as the Omega Mutants.
Yes.
More or less. They are gods.
They're
considered gods.
They're
considered unkillable, able to change the world around them. Dark Phoenix is also considered another Omega Mutant as well.
Yeah, Phoenix...
But you say that too, and Xavier's still dead.
Yeah, well, there was the one, the other character too that was some guy, and so guys remember in the original trilogy how Xavier put up these blocks and Jean Grey's mind, that whole stupid fucking bullshit. That was actually done in the comic books to the named most powerful mutant in the entire Marvel universe. Who was just the normal guy who wanted Xavier to essentially block off all knowledge of that. And then at one point in time, he actually ended up destroying the entire universe. Because somebody, I think it was some invasion happened or something. And somebody blew up his house with his wife and kid in it. And he went nuclear and killed everything.
It sounds like God of War.
He literally fucking killed. And I don't mean like he went on a rampage killing anything. I mean as in everything was just dead. Gone. Poof.
Yeah.
It was like, well, and there was a reason, and obviously then they had to go back through a alternate universe, type of thing in order for everything to not be magically gone. But and they revealed like, who the fuck is this guy? No one had heard of them because Xavier had wiped him from existence essentially, because of how powerful he was. He wasn't a bad guy. He was not bad at all. He was just so powerful, and he didn't want anything to do with it. But I think that's also something else that I is kind of done better in Marvel, is that the kind of personality flaws in powerful characters. Like you said, part of the reason why Superman's so boring is because the guy doesn't have really any personality flaws aside from Injustice. Injustice was a great telling of like changing Superman's character in such a way to where he's actually more compelling to me. Let's say the whole like goody two shoes Mary Sue act just gets boring as shit. But then if you say he gets fed up with playing Mary Sue for long enough, he just finally says, you know what? I'm going to save you from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
How
that makes me think of a meme I saw a long
that
time
leads me
ago.
right into a Heinlein quote. Never save me from myself. It's always for the other. The laws are always created for the other man.
Yeah, rules, laws, always for the other man.
That made me think of a meme though too. Where somebody posted a meme and said, how is Bruce Wayne alive if his parents are dead? And then here's Superman flying away. I'm done with this planet. So
why does he even
These
bother?
people are too stupid to live amongst.
Why does he even bother? But yeah, so that's I guess that's kind of part of what I run into is that he's just boring because
didn't he have a reduction in his power capability? Because I thought at one point in time he didn't actually need to breathe air because he did a lot of fighting in space. But
Superman, they'll make it work.
Yeah, well, now he does need to breathe air. He probably can hold his breath for a really long time, but, the whole, you still need to breathe air BS. It seems a little bit more realistic, but still, it's not the original setup of him.
Right, and I think
there's some guy I remember he
like at least for me, that's what I like in comic book characters anyway. Like, you have to be flawed a little bit. And that's why I like the Turtles. The Turtles have their own individual flaws.
Yeah.
That's why I like the X-Men. They have their own individual flaws. They have greatness, but they have downfalls. That's why I love Batman. But Batman's really the only DC character I can really get into.
I've been
fucked, and his villains are fucked too.
I've been watching a lot of I've cleared out the Marvel shows on Netflix. I'm going through left and right through all the DC shows on Netflix as well. And one thing that I keep seeing over and over again, well, this isn't so much in the Marvel one. Marvel has a little bit more realism, but DC is we can't kill anybody. But the ordinary grunts, you see them taking people out taking out the ordinary grunts left and right. We just killed 3 grunts, but the grunts, and we're not going to even mention or acknowledge it whatsoever.
Have either of you guys...
these guys on fire, they're burning to death still, but we can't kill this major boss bad guy who's going to escape and do more damage.
Well, have you guys played Injustice 2?
No.
Okay, so
I played some of the first.
No spoilers into the story of the game.
Oh, Morty. So you were playing a console?
No, I wasn't.
On PC yet.
No, I wasn't playing. I wasn't playing the game, but I know the story of the game. There's a scene early in Injustice, so it's not really a story spoiler, but where it's Batman and Robin are breaking into this place. It's essentially giving a backstory on how they capture Superman, right? And they're busting into this place, and Batman just fucking is beating the shit out of one of the grunt guys, and Robin makes that comment. He's like, so you're not allowed to kill anybody, but beating the fuck out of him to the point where he's permanently disfigured is okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
and Batman's just like, we gotta move. It's like he didn't even acknowledge it, but it was still I completely agree. That was a great statement. You can't kill anybody, but you could beat him to the point where he's drinking out of a straw for a month. Yeah, that's
it's just a month's temporary. He'll be back on his feet in no time.
Yeah, it's like the fuck. That makes no sense at all. Zero sense. But yeah, I've always despised that kind of moral restriction on all of the characters, which is one of the reasons why I like not spoiling too much of Daredevil, but in Daredevil Season 2, they definitely show a very sharp contrast between one of the characters who is trying to not kill people and trying to be a good person type of thing, and another one just doesn't give a fuck. He is pragmatic. He's if killing this person will solve the problem, and that's the most effective way to solve the problem, I will fucking kill this person. And he's done that several times where like someone's like, "Don't kill this person." He's like, "Yeah, no, I'm gonna kill them."
Sounds like nihilist.
He gives no shits, and it's actually in his that they've with this new the kind of we'll call it the Defenders story arc. They've done some pretty good job for the most part of developing the characters, like. You know, Luke Cage.
Dini Rand seems like a little bit of a bitch. But...
Yeah, he's the one that's the tough one. They did great. Like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones were both
Jessica
great.
Jones are awesome. They're fucking phenomenal. Now here's the thing: is the character development. Daredevil. What the fuck is the character? His normal name?
Murdoch.
Murdoch. Yeah, Matthew Murdoch. Murdoch. He like. There's some. Like parts of his character, I'm just like, but I like he's a Catholic,
yes.
and this is stereotyping, but it's a somewhat accurate stereotype with some people who are very focused on those beliefs. That amount of self-loathing of like when he gets his ass kicked, he feels a little bit too much like he deserves it. Like, no, you got your ass kicked, brush it off and move on. Which he does still do that, but there's a lot of seems to be an excessive amount of self-pity focused on that, but it makes sense with the build of this character.
Exactly. And some of them do have a lot of like guilt issues that they have to kind of overcome. That's their major hurdle in a lot of. I notice that's pretty much all of them. But the thing is the difference you have of like say, and it's gonna be interesting.
Straight up PTSD.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like fucking. Well, I mean, Punisher though. Like you want to talk about PTSD.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You want to talk about bringing the war zone home?
Now, I don't know all of Punisher's backstory.
So have you seen the new season 2 of?
No, I haven't watched any of it because Punisher wasn't a character I really followed.
Okay.
I mostly watch movies and things for people I follow. So, I said,
okay. Let me ask you this: do you have Netflix?
Yes.
Why are you not up to date on Netflix's Marvel shows?
Because they don't have characters I follow on there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes. No, watch them, all of them. All of them.
Now, to be fair,
it's on my to-do list. I kind of watch shows in binges. So actually, I gotta catch caught up on Orange.
These are great shows to binge, honestly.
Luke Cage.
Now, like I said, Luke Cage. That's the third one. You kind of.
Are watching them out of order, or do you watch them in order?
So what you do?
Here's the thing: is you can go either Daredevil season 1 or Jessica Jones first. Luke Cage, you want to follow after Jessica Jones. I would suggest that at least.
Okay, so
Iron Fist, you can go out of order on Iron Fist too. I think.
No.
Wait.
Iron Fist, you need to watch. So here's the order that I would recommend. Although, like he said, Jessica Jones and Daredevil season 1, you can interchange those. But the order in which they're released, Daredevil season 1, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Daredevil season 2, Iron Fist. The reason why is that there are spoilers, so to speak, of Daredevil season 2 in Iron Fist.
I must have missed those for some reason. I must have lost track of that.
Yeah, so there are events in Daredevil season 2 that happen in Iron Fist. And then the Defenders, the team up, the ensemble, comes out this August.
Are they doing season 2 on any of the other 3, do you know of, or just going straight to the Defenders?
We'll probably see that after the Defenders if they do that. But they're doing the Defenders team up this August. So it's going to be a birthday present for me because I'm awesome.
And then they got like that one actress that just scored big on this show that is in every single
Rosario
one.
Dawson. Yes, Rosario Dawson. Who's actually an amazing actress. Luke Cage, I really fucking love Luke Cage though. Like that was
Yeah.
like the thing is that there wasn't really any super powered bad guy that he was going against really. It was pretty much like Luke Cage. He just steamrolls everybody.
Well, that's what Luke Cage does.
That's what he does. But
What happens when the immovable object meets the unstoppable force?
yeah, but
Wasn't
no,
that Hulk in the Thing?
yeah, no, that's the
Thing got his ass kicked.
So that's what we wanted. We always were curious. What would the Juggernaut be able to lift Thor's hammer? Because
I think Hulk can.
the Juggernaut has infinite momentum once he's moving, and Thor's hammer is supposedly infinite gravity pulling, or infinite weight, infinite mass.
Like the Hulk has infinite strength, but
No. Hulk was able to pick up Thor's hammer because he was seen as worthy, and that was in the Planet Hulk arc. He was actually considered
I thought
worthy.
There was a specific Hulk, the Gray Hulk, or something like that.
I don't remember that one, but I know that I'm pretty certain Hulk lifted his hammer because he was worthy. Same. There's been a handful of others, like Beta Ray Bill, for example. And I hope, oh my God, in Thor Ragnarok, I hope they bring Beta Ray Bill into it.
Probably back in a second, we're gonna rush him.
Yeah. That's kind of the hope, because Beta Ray Bill is kind of like Thor's space buddy, if you will. It was an unlikely thing. Essentially, like Thor lost his power again and couldn't lift the hammer, and Beta Ray Bill stole it from him, so to speak, and they end up kind of becoming friends, because obviously you can only lift Thor's hammer if you're worthy. But no, the way that they're doing the Defenders arc just does seem interesting to me. And now that Kev's gone, we can talk about all the spoilers of the show. Although I haven't finished Iron Fist yet because it's been difficult. That's the first one that I've had difficulty getting through.
Well, how many episodes in are you? Because that one ramps up as it goes further.
Well, it hasn't really ramped up so far. I think they're in China. So it's pretty far into the season. Like I'm at least halfway or more.
Has he come across the Drunken Master yet?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I thought that one was interesting because I never followed the Iron Fist comic, but apparently they much like the Thor comic followed a lot of Chinese mythology with that, because the Iron Fist and the Drunken Master are one of 12 or the 13 immortals. I can't remember how many there are.
Something like that, yeah. I think there's 13.
But they were always at odds with each other, if I remember right.
Yeah. The thing is that I don't know if that guy was actually the Drunken Master, unless there's another scene that I haven't seen yet, but he fought some guy that was a drunken boxer. I don't know.
Well, if you didn't hear the dialogue, he said, he was the Drunken Master. It was for, his duty to guard the, whatever the enemy clan is named. I can't remember right now because I watched it. I watched the entire season first week.
The Hand.
And I've forgotten half. Yeah, the Hand. It's his, sworn duty to guard the Hand, just as it's the Iron Fist's sworn duty to guard the place that he abandoned.
Okay, so that's kind of interesting then. I didn't catch that much.
The Iron Fist and the Drunken Master are eternally, adversaries.
Interesting. I would hope that they could bring him back, bring that character back. That would be kind of interesting.
I don't think they'd knock him off, so I don't see why they wouldn't.
That would be interesting for them to kind of go into that a little bit more. But now that we've gone on for long enough on here, now that Kev's back, let's go ahead and get on to the crux of the matter. So let's discuss E3. So I have difficulty getting enthusiastic for E3 anymore. The illusion, if you will, is dispelled. But on a positive note, guys, there is one good thing that will come out of E3. They're going to be focused very heavily on discussing their brand new, and very inexpensive, only $5,000, gold-plated PS4.
You're joking, right?
Oh,
I wish I was joking.
no, he's not joking.
It's not $5,000.
Actually-
It's just a
The
gold.
price is the joke, or the price that you were mentioning was the joke. But yeah, that's a thing.
No, the joke is going to be the people that actually buy the thing. Because
It's
you know
gold.
how massive of a PlayStation fanboy you have to be to buy this thing?
Yeah, well, you're buying a gold PS4. That's a highlight, of course, of E3. They're gonna have a bunch of gold PS4s
I'm
there.
happy on my PS4 Slim. I got the Slim over the Pro. So
Well, that's just because you're not good enough. You don't like those 60 frames per second.
you don't get 60 frames per second.
Yeah, that's right. You don't.
Yeah, they give you the same frame. What they do, they stabilize the frame rate. So instead of dipping to 28, you stay at a lock 30 sometimes. And most of those games have performance issues on the Pro with the Pro patch.
Yeah.
So by the way, Kev is a huge endorser of PlayStation. In case you guys were curious,
I am.
Yeah.
As I'm shitting on the Pro.
Yes, you're shitting on both. You're just like fuck 'em.
Well, I haven't shit on the Scorpio yet. I have faith. I have a little teeny bit of faith in the Scorpio to be decent. I don't think it's going to be 4K 60 like they were saying a year ago.
I think there's a lot of fucking hype that they've tried to damage control because they realized that a lot of people knew it was bullshit.
They put essentially a 580 in there. You're not getting 4K 60 out of a 580. You'll probably get 4K 30.
Yeah.
I'm okay with 4K 30.
And the thing is I would love it.
580 struggles with 1440 60.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that my suspicion is they might do 4K 30. I would love it if they would give you an option of 4K 30 versus, say, 1080p 60. That would be great. Right. Just a simple graphics thing. Do you want performance or quality type of thing? Performance gives you...
Some games have, like, I know Neo has...
What I think would be a smart idea on Microsoft's part for the Scorpio, which I know they're not going this route, but... as Thunderbolt 3, is becoming more prevalent, and even Intel at some point in time is going to be pushing it embedded into the processor, the CPU itself. At any rate, external graphics cards are becoming more viable. Well, the Scorpio could be like, all right, 1080p is the most popular standard. Build the system to be as primed and optimized and awesome as at 1080p as possible, and then hey. You want the extra. You're one of those people that's sitting on UHD. You got your 4K TV. Get this external graphics card, and it'll run that just as effortlessly. Yeah, it's expensive as shit, but it's an option within the console limitations.
Mm-hmm.
See, that sounds good, but I don't think people would get it because then people were like, well, why can't I just do an update like last time when it's time for a new console to come out? Because eventually they are going to have to upgrade the consoles. I don't want it to become another Sega Genesis situation where instead of putting out a new console like they should have, they added a CD-ROM, they added the 32X. And eventually your Genesis just became this big monstrosity, and you had to plug all the extra shit in to play all the new games at the higher fidelity.
Mm-hmm.
But you can still play, or you can just play them at on the older way. I don't know. I don't like the idea of upgradable consoles because of that.
There's a potential behind that.
There is potential, but people are idiots. A lot of them.
Well, what I mean is like you have certain you make the console a little bit more modular, like swappable hard drives, external graphics plug-in. You got a couple of options like this that you could upgrade, and then you've got your core system. Say, all right, the CPU is not keeping up with the latest and greatest. All right, there's a core system upgrade, but that plug-in, the external graphics module you got, and the 2 terabyte hard drive that you have sitting in the console. Oh, those are still perfectly good. Take those, carry those, and buy a new core system without the drive, without the graphics, or with just onboard graphics, which is enough to run the 1080 or whatever, but not your 4K.
See, at that point, it's like, why not just buy a PC?
And here's the major thing too. I'll point out there is that people have benchmarked those Thunderbolt 3 graphics modules, those external graphics modules. They definitely bottleneck like a motherfucker. for 40 gigabit bandwidth is not enough for passing that information back and forth with enough speed, I guess you could say. That's a major problem on there. Is that until we get the next iteration, Thunderbolt 4 or whatever, that I don't think we'll really see as much functional use. The other problem is that most people want less things in their entertainment center for a console. They would just want a small box.
Right, yeah. They want to keep it simple. Like most people I know just want a simple entertainment center.
Yeah.
Like this is actually why I'm a fan of the Xbox One, because, or at least what the original idea was.
The original idea, yeah.
Yeah, the original idea was to be your all-in-one entertainment box. Of course it plays games, but I think they marketed it wrong because people are idiots and they didn't see it like, oh, yeah, of course it's going to have games.
Yeah.
Like, that's obvious, but look at what else it does.
Yeah,
now, and even me at the time, I was a bit turned off on it because I didn't see any games that, in my opinion, were worth playing on it at the time. Outside of Titanfall, I didn't want to really play anything else.
Well, depending on what quality rating or what grade and scale of game you're looking at, there is very little computing devices out there that cannot play games of some form or another. I mean, you even have your old Nokia, block phones that had Snake on them.
Oh yes, I loved it. It was so great.
Shit. I think I can't remember what it was. The TI graphing calculators; those had a game on them. I can't remember what kind it was.
Your Blackberries had Blockbreaker.
Yeah, there's games on everything to some degree or another. So trying to say it can't play games, that's going to be complete BS. You have your cheapest, simplest, stripped-down, ancient-ass computer. You can still have Microsoft Solitaire on there. That came out with Windows 1. No, I'm not kidding.
It came out with I think
it was
Windows
early. Yeah, it was early.
No, it was 3.1.1.
And while I agree with you, I do think that, and like I said, this kind of turned me off on the Xbox One originally. I think when you're presenting a console, you have to show games. Yeah. And that's what I'm hoping Microsoft does tomorrow. I don't want to hear, I want to hear about Scorpio, but I don't want the show to focus on Scorpio. I just want to see the thing. I want to see the games that run on it, and I want a price for it.
Yeah, and that's the main thing is that when it comes to Scorpio, they unfortunately have been hyping it for a long time, and I feel
I'm not sure that Microsoft's been hyping it. I think it's been the corporate slaves hyping it.
Well, I mean, there has been stuff leaked by Microsoft about it.
6 greater than 4?
Yeah. And that's the thing is that you get those their corporate slave mouthpieces out there that just regurgitate everything they say and then start embellishing the shit that they say to the degree where it's kind of silly. I think having hard facts on there is going to help because it's not going to be cheap. It's almost certainly.
We know these corporate slaves and facts don't go hand in hand.
But there's another thing on there.
But are they going to be? Are they going to have the audacity to breach the $500 price barrier? Because the PS3, I think it was, did that a while ago, and it hurt them a lot.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why Sony didn't do as well with PS3. Because if you notice, the other 3 PlayStation consoles dominated. I think that $600 price tag is what ultimately hurt the PS3. That's what got me to get on Xbox, because I was a PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 guy. I wasn't paying the $600. I got a 360.
Yeah.
The 360, like the top model for the 360
was motivated.
Was not the price
had a little bit motivation for me on that too.
I just want to throw it out there. Like, I wonder if this is the right one. Yeah, June 9th, 2017. I was looking at an article about things about the Xbox Play Anywhere, and it seems like they're announcing it for launch this September, but I thought it went live last September. The Xbox Play Anywhere.
It did. It went live with Forza Horizon 3.
Yeah, and then it's got Gears of War 4, Recourse, Halo Wars 2.
I have most of the games.
Yeah. So it's like
the only game that didn't go play anywhere that I wanted to was Halo 5.
Oh, you know what? Never mind. I know why this all fucked up. The site was
Is that?
Polygon. Never mind. Huh.
Oh, that go too.
Well, there we go. That explains everything. Polygon. Sorry, you fail again. Play Anywhere went live last September, not this September. So that's not something that they're probably going to be talking about unless it's in relation to a game that they're going to be releasing. Because so as far as the games go, and we talk about Xbox, obviously the big thing that that a lot of people are looking for is like the games they've announced and then haven't really talked about, like State of Decay 2, Crackdown 3, and Sea of Thieves. And,
yeah, I really want State of Decay 2. I love the original.
Oh, and Crackdown 3
Halo
as well.
6.
Halo 6.
Well, they already said they're not doing Halo 6 this year. And Gears came out last year. I don't think we're getting another Gears.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see some more stuff with Halo Wars 2. There's been hype around it coming to Steam because it's just dead on PC. And the original, when they put it on Steam, did really well. I'm hoping that gets announced that it's coming to Steam because I think that would help revitalize the community because, like I said, that game is dead. It's a fantastic game. It's just dead on
Gears?
No,
Gears is awesome. Actually, they just added crossplay competitive Gears this week.
Nice. Yeah,
so that's been
interesting.
See, honestly, Gears I think
Gears is a game that you don't aim isn't as important.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that that's where a lot of times whenever I've had a few debates with various people from BioWare regarding crossplay and why it should have been in Andromeda. The whole like, oh, but my aim in mouse is better. And I'm like, first of all, it's cooperative, not competitive. So you having better aim than me doesn't mean that we both can't still enjoy it. Secondly, and most importantly, in the third-person shooter like that, honestly, like you said, aim isn't as important. It's kind of like Gears. It's just not as important. You have
I think Gears, not even so much because it's third person, but because it's so shotgun heavy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's
like you get close enough, and then it's just better. Can I hit fire before you hit fire me?
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is with Mass Effect and what you deal with in that particular instance is the fact that there's a lot of powers that have tracking or area of effects and that sort of thing, where the being pinpoint and precise isn't as important. There are ones that are. Lance, the biotic power lance or sniper rifles, that sort of thing, still require some aiming, but the controllers have auto aim, and it's built into the PC version, so you get that little assistance on there that allows you to quick scope. I mean, come on now, I was able to aim quickly just fine. I'd miss a lot, but but yeah, so no, the thing is, and yes, okay, so let's also talk about real quick before I go on. I forgot about something I wanted to mention last night after Kev's horrible failure at Mass Effect Andromeda last night on stream. It was really disappointing.
The one where it carried?
Yeah, it was really disappointing how badly he played.
How badly it carried?
After he ran away, very, very depressed and dejected by how poorly he performed.
Because I carried.
But after he left, so we had Lurk and Xaiphen and I were like, okay, let's run the operation really quick. Yeah, 3 mana on gold, and we're all kind of like, whatever. Sure, this will work. Somehow we all extracted.
Well, you were hustling. That's why. You were hustling. 5 waves in, he's running last place. I'm ahead of him, wave 5. All of a sudden, he tops out the scoreboard by the end of the night. What the fuck happened? What did you do?
A lot of cobras.
Apparently, he saved every one of his RPGs for, like, wave 7 and just unloaded them on every big target out there.
No. It wasn't the RPGs. It was those damn trip mines. You guys don't... I know my Talon Merc strategies, all right? You don't underestimate those trip mines. I had the whole map scattered.
I don't have that character built up enough for that yet. I'll get to him. I just finished the soldier.
But yeah.
The human soldier, I built up some other characters, and then I had to circle back. Like, let's just do the vanilla soldier, build him up.
Now, Kev, let me give you like some backstory on this one. By the way, I decided to make things even interesting on the running the operation, and I chose the Apex mission that was the shotgun modifier, right? So plus 50% damage to shotguns, minus 50% damage to all other weapons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And since we were doing the operation, I took the Angaran roll, so I was playing with the ISRC, doing half
50%
damage.
Damage reduction.
Yeah, I was taking the ISRC, doing half damage, and everybody else brought shotguns. And
Yeah, well,
and also using.
I'm
already
not sure
messing with weapons.
I'm not sure how well that scaler works. On my sorry edit video, I was in one of those lobbies using the equalizer that had 50% less damage and topped the scoreboard.
Yep. And then, of course, I was also playing that with a controller. So my aim was, of course, controller-y.
I'm just saying, some of these guys in Gears on...
Actually, I was running more precise aim than you were because you were using a stick and I had the gyro advantage.
Yeah.
But I needed that aim precision sometimes because I was also running with a Crusader, which was just...
It's painful.
Crusader's trash in this game. It wasn't
I've got
great
mixed feelings on the Crusader. I was doing a lot better with it than I expected to, especially with incendiary ammo against Remnant.
The Crusader, the problem with the Crusader is the shots are too tight.
Yeah.
The spread is just way too tight.
Well, no. The Crusader fires slugs, so it's one projectile. But the problem is that unlike in Mass Effect 3, the accuracy is not pinpoint on it. Like it doesn't go where you fire it all the time, and that's really the problem.
It's like the effect of firing slugs through a smooth barrel shotgun, in real life.
I guess that's true.
Because there's some shotguns that are rifled, and rifled shotguns can only fire slugs. You put shot through those, you just fucked your barrel.
Yep.
Completely.
But yeah, so in any case, though, going back to Gears, in the crossplay thing, is I really think that needs to be a bigger conversation on there. Is that look at that how that game works, and it's actually pretty damn fun crossplay.
It is. And the fun part is you blend right in with the console players. Some of these console players have completely kicked my ass. Actually, a lot of them have.
So by the way, I'd just like to point out that Kev is just saying that he's a scrub, but that's beside the point.
And they be getting set up and sniping my ass from across the map, getting them power weapons.
But no, the thing is,
I can run it too.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I really feel like if Xbox wanted to promote their Play Anywhere thing, they really should be hyping up cross-platform play a lot more for more games.
I think they're going to, but I think the reason they haven't is because a lot of the console community don't like it. And I've caught this on Reddit, of course, so I'm not just the corporate mouthpieces on YouTube.
Yep.
A lot of them, they just feel like they're just going to constantly be at a disadvantage because they've always been told mouse and keyboard's just better.
And that's exactly what it is. They've been told. And the thing is that a lot of them can't see this thing of, hey, at least people give people the option if they want to. Especially for games that end up with dwindling player bases because of the developer fucking shit up, like Mass Effect Andromeda or Dragon Age Inquisition, where the developer kind of botched the launch or botched things near the launch that crippled the online community. Cross-platform play would keep everybody, the few that are on all the platforms, at least still able to play with other people.
That's one thing that I see, though, and it's only Valve. Well, Valve opens up the options. That's the best thing that they've done is opened up the options. But having a gyro in the controller is a huge fucking deal. And the consoles, especially PlayStation that has a gyro in their controller, they're not doing anything with it. Whether the quality of the gyro is there or not, they should put it there if it's not, and start pushing more use of it. Because that gyro as an aiming tool, it is awesome. The biggest advantage of aiming with a mouse is instead of just moving a little tiny stick with one thumb, you're moving your whole hand or arm to aim with, and that's the same advantage you have with the gyro over a thumbstick as well. It's not quite there with the mouse, but it is pretty damn good a lot of times.
Well, I think maybe with PlayStation VR that might be a thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I think as VR becomes more prevalent, because everybody's kind of going that VR route. But my question would be, as far as areas where crossplay could be really huge, Crackdown 3. If Crackdown 3 is, first of all, it's a third-person kind of action-y adventure game. The big thing about it is the multiplayer was touting, and I feel like the reason why Crackdown 3 has been very quiet for a long time is because their big boisterous claim of a completely destructible multiplayer environment might have turned out to be too big. Like they bit off more than they could chew.
Too big of a scope. Yeah.
And I feel like they might have to tone that down for the launch, which is going to be disastrous when they do that.
Oh, yeah, because it's going to be worse than Watch Dogs if that's the case. And I have a feeling that's part of what it is, too.
I do feel like that's what's going on. But I think that would be a unique game for to promote crossplay, because you're not going to have really any advantage for... Like, if you guys played Crackdown or Crackdown 2... using a controller versus a mouse, I don't feel like there would be a big advantage on there. There's not a huge emphasis on pinpoint aiming, you know.
I don't think there's a huge advantage for it in a lot of games, depending on just how good you are. Yep. Like you see a lot of PC guys that play with a controller and they do just fine.
Yep.
You see, and it leads me to believe that maybe this could actually work. If we get console play, there is an advantage. I'm not going to say there isn't.
No, there is.
But it's not so big as people say it is. It's like playing in 30 versus 60 frames per second. Yes, there's an advantage to 60, but it's not as big as some people make it out to be. You're not going to automatically play better because you play at a higher frame rate. You're not going to automatically play better just because you have better toys.
Yeah, like the thing is...
It's going to make the job a little easier for you.
And to be specific, it's the mouse that has the advantage. Actually, a keyboard... Now, keyboard has the benefit of having more buttons to be mapped to things.
I would actually argue the keyboard is more difficult than the joystick.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm going to say. Is you guys have heard my rant before about how dedicating 3 fingers to movement, and then if you want to, say, hit R to reload... you cannot then go left or go right. You know, you can't move or turn right, because now in order to reload, you have to take your finger off the D key and put it on the R key, right? So you're kind of making that choice.
Maybe it's just how I do it. I always use R with my index finger. So
that's what I'm saying.
My ring finger is on W and D. My middle fingers are W and S. My pinky's on A and my middle finger's on D. So I can go right and reload at the same time.
So the normal way that people hold it is they have their pinky on shift, then their ring finger on A, middle finger on W, and index finger on D, and then thumb on spacebar, right? Because usually
I'm shifted over. So my pinky's always resting on A. And if I need to go down to shift, then I just adjust my hand.
Yeah, like shift is usually like the sprint, so that's obviously why I say that. And then control, which is right below it, is usually like your duck or whatever.
And that's probably why control always felt like a weird duck button to me. I always switch it to C.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that, in that instance, though, in order to use a lot of these tertiary commands that are around the WASD keys, you have to take a finger off of a movement key in order to do it. That, to me, is completely inefficient. Which is why I'm a big fan of the G13, which my G13 unfortunately is dead at the moment. So it's kind of been grating that I haven't been able to really enjoy the games I want. But
that's something like somebody was trying to tell me on the Steam controller, and it's one of those things, like a go-to reference. I can almost always come up with a good feature of this. Is there like, well, you can't have as many keys, on the Steam controller like you can cover the keyboard. Like, well, yeah, 102 keys on the standard keyboard. I think it's 102, 105 on a standard keyboard. Yeah, but these 2 touchpads right here, these can be built for 64 keys right there.
Yeah.
16 in each, a shift mode for each one of them. You can have 1 key dedicated to shift mode, so that frees up all of your other buttons to do whatever the fuck else you want with it. And that's if you're going the full out, trying to do a full out 64 on there, and like say gyro is mouse only. You've got your movement on the stick. You can pack a lot of commands into that one, small device.
Mm-hmm. Without having a lot of commands into a controller in general.
Yeah.
Say what?
I do feel like that key controllers are very underutilized, and I do feel like that unfortunately the general design and while Steam has made inroads into a kind of a new and fresh design on controllers, I do feel like the standard what are they 12 buttons, 8 buttons?
Yeah, I think 12 or 16. I don't recall.
I think it's 12 button controller is kind of getting old.
I don't know. I like the design of the Xbox. Well, even PlayStation.
Well, no, I'm not necessarily saying the layout of the, like, say, the two thumbsticks, for example, the one thumbstick that's lower and the one that's higher versus DualShock, having them both in the same place. You know, different people have different feelings on those controllers, personal preference. I'm not necessarily saying the layout of the sticks. I'm talking about, like, kind of the button situation.
Yeah. They're not doing as much as they can. Like, you know, you look at the Steam controller, and even I feel that this is physically limited. And it is opened up so much more compared to a console controller. Because, like, these triggers right here, there's an analog soft pull trigger, and then once you pull it all the way down, it clicks, and there's another button that can be actuated. So you can have aim and fire on one trigger.
Yep.
You know, and it's actually very easy to adapt to. And, like, in my common settings for a shooter, whenever I aim, I soft pull the trigger, aim down the sights, it kicks in the gyro, so I have that precision gyro.
And what he's talking about is a quick scope controller, by the way. Those are actually been around for a while and are considered bad juju for a lot of your competitive shooters, but the Steam controller has it built in as a flexibility option, you know?
I believe the Xbox
opens up
has this too.
Huh?
Yeah, but that opens up two more. Yeah, that opens up two more command options on the left trigger that I could do for whatever else that I want, an analog style feel for that. The biggest limitation I feel in here is there's two buttons right here. You know, there's two paddle buttons or grip buttons, and they're like, everything else seems to have a good fit and feel to it. Those, sometimes they click too easy. No, that not too click too easy. They're too. They feel like there's too much stress to hold them down constantly in certain situations, and it feels like there's not enough buttons. I feel this controller would be awesome if the back paddle buttons were, you know, normal like membrane push buttons, two on each side, and that would open up a lot more command flexibility, something that's a little bit easier to hold down consistently, and because it's on the grip. You know, you hold the controller by smishing it together instead of, you know, gripping with your hands like that. You wouldn't have a lot of accidental presses of those buttons so much.
I can say that the Xbox Elite controller is a better implementation of that, with the kind of like the actual, it's got like triggers there essentially. But like to just bring things back around though, because we kind of, went off in the tall grass talking about controllers and whatnot. I do feel like I said, Crackdown 3 would be a great way of introducing crossplay as a major feature. But also, and this is the challenge on here, right? So we have Sony obviously has no interest in crossplay. And
it's really sad because Sony has some great IPs for that.
Well, they have a lot of great IPs, but the thing is they want to maintain their walled garden approach as much as they can.
They don't want their games played on anything other than PlayStation.
It's not just that, because there's cross-platform games, right? There's games that are on multiple platforms that Sony has no control over. But
they don't want, say, everybody playing together. They don't want the PC and Xbox guys playing with the PlayStation guys.
Well, and the reason why is because if I have a friend that plays this game I like on PlayStation, and I have an Xbox, well, then I am more inclined to get a PlayStation to play with that friend. That's their game on there. That's their hustle that they're running on there. If there was cross-platform where every game that's released multi-platform has the capability to interlink those multiplayers together, then if I have an Xbox and you have a PlayStation and we both have the multiplayer for this game, hey, we can play together, no big deal. Then I am not incentivized to buy a PlayStation 4. Again, this comes back to my argument before, and I'm only briefly going to touch on this before we kind of move on to the more stuff on there, is essentially Sony kind of showing that they don't have a lot of faith in the actual hardware platform itself.
That's the one argument where I would agree with that. We talked about our differences there before too.
Exactly.
Where my thoughts on exclusivity is, it makes sense for people who don't understand the hardware.
Yeah. Now, going on to Nintendo, obviously Nintendo, big things happening for Nintendo, or at least for those that care. By the way, if this part of the segment seems to be muted for some reason, that's because Nintendo are a bunch of copyright fucks. They're not going to do that. We're not playing any of their footage, so I think we'll be safe. But no, so obviously they're going to be announcing probably some more, or talking about some of their Switch titles coming up on there.
Mm-hmm.
We will also probably see some kind of mention of their online service too. That's upcoming.
Well, the online service, they've announced the price. It's going to be $20 a year.
Yep.
And it's coming out next year.
It's just complete fun. And you know why they downed it from $20 a year? They were careful not to say a price, I think, if I remember right. But they would, if everybody would have been like, yay, they probably would have came out at the standard, the kind of current standard of $60 that Sony and Microsoft charge. But
I think it was smart for them to charge $22. They know they don't have enough games to keep up with Sony and Microsoft.
Exactly.
If you're an Xbox or PlayStation gamer, while I don't think online you should pay for online, you could justify by the amount of games that you can play online by paying that fee, and with the games that come with the service.
I'm just saying.
I don't think you can justify that with Nintendo. They don't have enough games, especially for online.
The thing is, I have difficulty justifying any of it because Steam somehow manages to maintain all of the services of Xbox Live or PSN without charging people a subscription to use their service.
No, I'm saying if you're one of the people that are okay with it.
Yeah,
if you're one of the people that are okay with it and you think it's fine, how do you justify paying for playing 2 or 3 Nintendo IPs for a generation online?
Yeah. So, and like I said, we'll probably also hear stuff about their upcoming Mario game, and then there's also something about that Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle thing too. I don't know. Yeah. But Super Mario Odyssey seems like it's going to be an interesting. They teased that. That was the one where we saw Mario running around like New York City or some shit. That is going to, and apparently his hat is now a sentient being. I don't fucking know what that's about. Whatever.
That was weird.
I know there was Mario with many hats and the Mario 64. I know they started off with the Mario with many hats there, and it just kind of like started going haywire after that.
Yeah, but like I said, we'll probably hear more about that one. I'm not sure really. Talking about Nintendo is tough because I'm just so like literally it's the same same 3 games every fucking console they put out. Put out a Zelda game.
Isn't that Microsoft?
Yeah, they put out a Zelda game. They put out a Mario game, and then they'll usually put out Smash Brothers or some kind of fight game, and that's really
something I find funny is current generation of gamers or pending next generation of gamers. My 6-year-old daughter, she did not have much trouble picking up a controller that was too big for her hands, and moving around and doing some stuff in a shooter, with what you could reach. But she has a lot of trouble adapting to a side scroller. Speaking of Mario, she does not do well with Mario. The games that we grew up with, Mario, which we go back to, they were hard as shit then. They're still hard as shit now. Yeah, she does not do as well with that. She may get better though, because I don't remember. I wasn't gaming at 6 years old.
Yeah,
I was.
But
I started gaming on my 3rd birthday. My mother bought me an NES, and within a month, I beat the original Mario.
Yeah. Well, so in any case, moving it along, just so we don't get too sidetracked on there, because we do have a 3 more key players to talk about on here. First up,
before we move on to this key player, we didn't really touch on Sony. We touched briefly on Sony.
That's because there's not a huge degree of stuff that people are thinking they're going to announce aside from.
You don't think so?
No, I like.
I expect Sony to be the standout this year.
Really?
I don't.
Yes, I do.
So
especially after this, maybe I'm building hype from, or maybe I'm so hyped from what they did last year. Because Sony's show
See,
last year was incredible.
Here's the thing: is that I imagine that we might get like some kind of price drop announcement for the PSVR package, and maybe more information about Death.
Slim.
Well, and maybe more information about Death Stranding, but otherwise,
That's not coming. They already said they're not showing it.
yeah. So then, what do they have to talk about?
I'm hoping. I want to hear more about the Spider-Man game that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping for a release date for God of War, or at least more footage, more Last of Us 2, and I want to see the new Uncharted standalone that they're working on.
Juicing a franchise, that's what I call that.
Oh yeah, well, this is supposed to be the last Uncharted, so they said it's supposed to be Nathan Drake's last Uncharted, so we'll see.
We'll see.
But
depends on how well it sells.
Halo 3 was the last Halo, guys. It's the last one. We promise.
So I think.
Well, it was the last one of the original Bungie.
Yep.
And some games are better off left done after their trilogy. Uncharted 4 was incredible, but I don't want to see too many more Uncharted games.
Yeah, it's at some point you're beating a dead horse until you reboot the franchise, right?
Exactly. And I think where Uncharted has carried them, especially through the PlayStation 3, I think The Last of Us is going to be that game that carries them through probably the next decade or so.
Maybe.
So what you're going to see, you're going to start seeing prequels. They can kill off the main character, and they can still drag the series on forever. Tomb Raider.
Hey, Red Dead Redemption.
Yep.
I don't know. Red Dead Redemption.
I know they killed John Marston.
I played the last game of Tomb Raider. I played 1 through 4. For some reason, I played them all. And the series was done. I was done with it. Then they came out with prequels and other weird stuff like that, which, not to say they're bad games.
The
I just haven't played any of them because I finished the series.
Well,
I finished it, damn it.
The thing is that the reboot arguably is, to me, it feels a lot more interesting. I honestly see them as a different game. Because I don't so far. Now, I have not played Rise of the Tomb Raider, so Kev, feel free to correct me on this one. But they seem more grounded and not as over the top. And granted, that's just time at which they're making stuff, right? Where, like, you had dinosaurs and fucking crazy magic shit, some spider dude with a fucking meteorite alien shit going on.
Yeah, no, you're 100% on point. Like, the original Tomb Raider series was out there.
Yeah, it was. There was some over the top shit.
There's mystical shit going on in the new Tomb Raider. And if you play 2013 Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider is similar.
Yeah,
it's similar in how grounded it is. This one it has an interesting story. They play a lot like Uncharted.
Yeah,
a lot like Uncharted.
They're kind of railed in a certain way.
Right. I mean, I'd argue even to the point where if you really, really just don't, like, if you want to buy a PlayStation only for Uncharted, just play the new Tomb Raiders.
Well, let's be honest on here. Let's be honest on here. These are all kind of Indiana Jones clones at this point, right?
Yeah.
So it's you have this roguish adventurer who's delving into the wild unknowns to uncover secrets, blah 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 blah.
Right, like Rise of the Tomb Raider was a lot about where in the original series Lara Croft was the archaeologist.
Yeah.
In this series, Laura's father was the archaeologist.
Yeah.
And Laura's father died after making some big discovery, and he never got to show it to the world, so she wanted to finish her father's work. Yeah, that's the premise of this guy.
And the thing is that I feel like that, unfortunately, it seems like while they made her smart, I feel like one of the key elements of the old Lara Croft before the reboot was that she was scary fucking smart. Yeah, she has big kahunas, and obviously that was the major draw in there, but she was rich and she was fucking smart. And like
the thing I like about this Lara Croft, not like she's smart. She's no dummy.
Yeah, she's definitely smart.
But they really go into her being a survivor.
Yes.
And being resourceful.
Exactly.
That's the big thing with her.
And I think that's a key difference.
And I like that she feels like a real person here, and the other one that I think she really did.
Yep.
And as bad as it says, I'm not saying the old Laura Croft wasn't feminine. I feel like this one's just extremely feminine.
No, I think the original
Like
Lara
she's
Croft,
like just a strong woman.
the original Lara Croft was a bit of a Mary Sue. I think that's the problem, is that she was so smart, so rich, and just always had an answer for everything type of thing. And that I feel like this one, she has less of answers for everything and more she has to fly by the seat of her pants in a lot of cases.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, it's like the difference that Xaiphen and I have discussed, the difference between Hector and Achilles, right? In the Troy movie, where you had this person that always has the answer for
training versus the clutch experience.
Yeah, the clutch survivor attitude, that's been honed through years of experience of going through shit. But yeah, so I mean, yeah. So in any case, though, yeah, they might have some games to talk about, but the thing is that they're so far what they've got on the table has seen, like, there's less questions about it, I guess, that people are really asking. And that's the thing with Sony on there. Whereas like Microsoft, they have several games that they mentioned, but then have spoken very little about since then.
Well, I would say Sony has the same problem too, and I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm walking into this with just expecting to be blown away by Sony again, because I thought Sony's show last year was incredible. I did, and I expect more of the same this year. Where Microsoft, I feel like has a lot for me to prove. I felt like their show last year, while it was good, it was kind of disappointing at the same time. My big thing with Sony is they need release dates. None of their games last year had release dates.
So of course we'll also have the complete joke of the PC gaming show.
Oh, that show's god awful.
That was so painful.
I'm going to tell you how bad it is. I took Monday off of work because I was like, oh yeah, I want to catch the whole E3 experience. I want to catch it live. And then I realized after I got it approved, Microsoft's going on Sunday. So the only reason I wanted to take the day off is because Microsoft goes at 9 a.m. So I just scheduled an eye doctor appointment. Like, let me get some new glasses while PC game shows on.
that was
get my eyes tested.
that was a burn and a half. Oh man.
The only way you could have burned more is
my eye doctor appointment at 10:30.
The only way you could have put a harder burn on that is saying you'd rather go get an exam from a proctologist than see that show.
Yeah, but so let's cover the EA, Ubisoft, and Bethesda real quick on here, since we are kind of running over time here. So EA, they obviously have kind of two big guys that are on the table, that are on deck, so to speak, for them, and that's Battlefront 2 and Need for Speed Payback. Do you guys do you expect a whole lot? Obviously, and then of course there's sports bullshit. Hopefully they don't have another painful conversation with Pele again. That was so bad.
Yeah, I don't want them to go over FIFA again. I'm not interested in Need for Speed at all. At this point, I'd rather just play Forza. And well, I mean, I am interested in Battlefront 2.
Yeah, Battlefront 2. And here's me. I'm not a big fan of competitive shooters. So the original Titanfall and a lot of that shit doesn't interest me that much, because those multiplayer only PvP games, I don't know. I got a kind of sour taste in my mouth with Overwatch, where I'm leery about it. Not to say Overwatch was a bad game. I'm just saying the experience that I had with it, I just really was not that pleased with how...
I think with Overwatch in particular, it sucked because you have to depend on your team.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of these other ones, if you do really well by yourself, you'll rank up and fuck your teammates.
The build of that game, I didn't have feel a long amount of longevity behind it. Like I think I said, upon getting that game, I would be done with it by that December last year. What year is this? Shit, I lose track of time. And it was pretty much then, around the same time I had predicted that I would get bored with it. I did.
Late November, early December. That's kind of whenever I lost interest.
Yeah, I feel a little bit of guilt behind that because it was a gift. I very much appreciate that more. but yeah, it lasted as long as I expected it to.
Honestly,
See, I still play
6 months
Overwatch
with a
though.
game, I feel is fair for the price. You know, and like,
Yeah.
I still play Overwatch. I was playing it last night with Canada and with Major and Rogue, and I still enjoy the game more as a social thing now. I'll jump into quick play. It's just something that's kind of in the rotation.
yeah.
But
Unfortunately, a game like that has a lot, like, well, let's say if you want to really play, like, if you're running into quick play, I can see a little bit more, BSing and just throwing down, but there's a lot of, that game, it does require a little bit more team skill focus. So, we go into Mass Effect and we can just talk about what the fuck ever
See,
that's what I like
and
about
still roll through
that's what I
that.
like about quick play.
You see,
Because I was turned off when they stopped letting you play competitive with your friends. That's what turned me off on.
Yeah, that's one of the huge fucking detractors on there is the moment that you tell me that that my score from last season and I made friends through last season and now I want to play competitive this season with them. Oh, but because I didn't do as well as them last season, oh sorry, I can't play with them this season because there's that stupid fucking 1,000 SR cap. And then the other thing on there of the sequestering the 6-man party members in their own matchmaking more or less meant that solo queuing, like say, oh man, I got that, I'm just outside that 1,000 SR cap to play with my friends. Well, let me just grind through some games, get my rank up a little bit, and then I can play with them again. Oh, and then you go into solo queue and it's every man for himself, no fucking teamwork at all, and it just, I was done. I could not.
I will say that's what I like about the current meta too, where it's basically whoever you're good with, play with them. Everybody is in a really good space right now.
Yeah, and they've done a good job of balancing it in very carefully working different scenarios and reworking characters as needed. I know, like I said, I'm not bad with Blizzard's character design or their character balancing. It's their competitive infrastructure that's really left a bad taste in my mouth, and that's I can't muster any energy to go play it anymore because of that. But
I feel about the same on that.
But see, here's the thing though, is that that's left me a little bit, and the thing is that there's been other games before it that I was kind of leery of, namely Titanfall and Evolve. Evolve, fucking, that would really spiral downhill. Like that,
it had some potential behind it. It just did not work out well.
It was both games to me felt like a proof of concept.
It was basically a slot machine. It's what's called the first For Honor.
Yeah.
So For Honor was basically just designed to make money.
Yeah, and the thing is that, but the thing is, here's the thing, is that Titanfall 2 came out, sadly didn't do so well because they launched it right in between fucking Call of Duty and Battlefield 1. That had to be the biggest fucking marketing mistake ever. I don't know why you would do that. That
EA got greedy. That's all it is.
I have no idea what the hell EA was thinking with that. You have
they were thinking greed, like, oh well, we know Battlefield can't make all that money by itself, but maybe with Titanfall we might come close. And all you did was stifle Titanfall.
You essentially just fucking threw Titanfall under the bus, and I feel like that game should have gotten a lot more sales and cred for what it was.
I agree. And now I don't think if there is a Titanfall 3, I don't think it'll do as well because the Turfs 2.
Yep.
People didn't take on to the second one. The first one, while it did really well the first time, people thought it didn't have enough content.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be a spring game. This is a game where you should release
honestly,
right around April, mid-March, and it would do
Titanfall 2 doesn't have the trial availability for it. Like almost every other
it might eventually
Origin game on there.
It probably will at some point.
Yeah,
but at this point, I wouldn't even tell people to play it online because it's so hardcore. Like, the people who play Titanfall 2 still on PC, well, even on, I had it on PlayStation, they play it so hardcore that you're just going to get stomped by everyone starting out.
Yeah. And the thing is, and to be fair, that's kind of where the Ghost Recon Future Soldier multiplayer was by the time that I got into it. I was looking at it online. It's like, oh, hey, how do you kind of work this? And everybody's like, don't bother playing multiplayer, because I got it maybe a year or so after release. It wasn't that long, but it was long enough to where that most of the people, the kind of stragglers, the casuals, had gotten bored and moved on to other games. And all the people that were left that played the multiplayer were like the hardcore, like they learned the ins and outs, min-maxed everything, and you just get raped going in there. And it's like,
that's how Titanfall 2 is,
Yeah.
where they know the exact sniping spots where you can't see them, but they can snipe you as you're spawning.
yeah.
Yeah, that's basically how Titanfall 2 plays right now. It's not like there's a couple maps that are still not AIDS anymore, or that aren't AIDS, but a lot of them are. Like I think it's a great game, but I wouldn't tell anybody to buy into it right now.
But yeah, so my thing though is that having that single player component, which obviously is not going to be amount to much more than like say Call of Duty or Battlefield's single player component.
It's a lot better than those. It's actually a really good single player.
Well, I see.
But it's about 4 hours.
Yeah, so that would largely depend on how much you get the game for. If you get it on sale for, maybe $10-15 or something like that, then I could see that as being worth it for at least the single player part. But Battlefront 2, that's the one that's going to kind of be an interesting mark to me. Because first of all, I really like the fact of how they pose that story. So the whole, like, you're playing this elite Imperial Commando that's on a path of vengeance because more or less she gets to witness the downfall of the Emperor and the destruction of the second Death Star, and that's where the story starts, is after episode 6. That's going to be kind of interesting to me to see how that plays out, because I'm kind of interested in, like, and I'll be honest, it's because of Rogue One. The in-betweener stories seem to be better well done in some cases. Like episode 7 was episode 7 was kind of meh. Rogue One was fucking fantastic. So
I still haven't seen any of the new ones.
Yeah. Like I said, episode 7 you kind of have to see it in order to know, like, to kind of get an idea of where everything's going and so on and so forth. But seriously, whenever I saw, like, essentially, obviously, Rogue One is a direct prequel to Episode 4. So it kind of is disjointed in that regard, but it was still so well done. I like that game. I felt so much better about, and I knew how it was going to end going in. Like, I just was like, oh, what's the time frame of this? Oh, yeah, I know exactly how this is going to end because you've already seen Episode 4. You know how it's going to end.
Well, I mean, you never know that like, you can sometimes have a spoilery and be good. Like, I prefer the trilogy, which I didn't think I would like the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
Over episode 4, 5, and 6, which people always tell me 1 through 3 are terrible. Well, episode 1 is terrible. Episode 1 isn't that good, but I love 2 and 3.
The thing is, for some parts,
the rule of it's not the destination, it's the journey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In some regards, there was a few cringy moments in the prequels on there, and there was sometimes a little bit. It seemed like a bit more emphasis put on panache and flashiness over substance. But overall, they were not bad. My thing is that the whole, like, I felt I liked some of the stories being told there more than I liked some of the stories being told in the original trilogy. The problem I had is that there was at some points where I liked kind of watching Anakin's kind of path downward, but then there were some times whenever things just felt disjointed and cringy.
Yeah, there are definitely
episode 2. There was a lot of disjointed cringiness. The episode 3, it was not quite as bad.
Yeah, episode 3 is actually, of the Star Wars movies I've seen, probably my favorite. That or Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, both of those were pretty damn good. But here's the thing: is that so I guess part of the issue is that I am very much an outspoken fan of the Old Republic universe. I just all in all, every story that I've told.
The Old Republic. Are we talking the MMO or are we talking the?
No. I said the universe. So that includes anything that was made in that realm, and that includes Knights of the Old Republic, the Old Republic MMO, any other like stories written, that whole thing, because there was obviously there are some
I
books
didn't know.
written.
I didn't know the two tied together.
Yeah, they did.
Because I haven't played the Old Republic or the Old Republic.
Now there is a time gap, but the books, there's a couple of books I believe written by Drew Karpyshyn that kind of run the gap between KOTOR 2 and the Old Republic. And essentially, the time gap on there's a lot of shit that happens in the background with Revan and the Exile from KOTOR that directly plays into the way that events open up for the Old Republic MMO. And if you play the kind of the Jedi Knight story, the Jedi Knight story for the most part is pretty much KOTOR 3, if you will. It pretty much takes the feel, or I guess it would take the continuation of that story arc. And the thing is that I've felt all of the stories that I've experienced with the Old Republic just felt more compelling, more fascinating. So, and the thing is, though, is that I feel like these side stories that are largely not important, like Rogue One or Battlefield 2, I feel more excited about those than I do any mainline episode of Star Wars, and that's, I guess, kind of sad at this point. And then obviously the other EA big guy, Need for Speed Payback. I don't know. I haven't. The thing is Need for Speed Payback. The concern I have is turning that essentially into a FIFA or Madden. Hey, it's yet another, just one more Need for Speed title, and they all feel the same.
Yeah, it basically. I started playing the reboot, but it just felt like the Fast and the Furious, which is fine. I don't mind Fast and Furious movies, but Fast and Furious games don't do it for me.
Yeah. So, or sorry, not Fast and Furious, Need for Speed, by the way. Need for Speed.
I have trouble telling the two apart.
Yeah, I know. Well, the thing is that Fast and Furious has definitely gone a different route from the typical street racing stuff where they started. They have definitely gone.
I watched the first three and then put the series down.
Oh my God, no, Kev. Seriously, you missed so much of Fast and Furious. Holy shit! Does it go way far outside there?
So it gets better because after the third one, I was bored and done.
So let's put it this way: Fast 5.
It's more comparable to the Expendables now than it was like the racer movies of the original, first 1 through 3.
Except it's not as cringy as the Expendables are, because you're not having.
Well, the Expendables are intentionally cringy. It's like
yes,
say that didn't he? Shit.
No, it's more or less all of the action hero memes from the last 10-15 years thrown into one movie. Get to the chopper, and then fucking Chuck Norris making a Chuck Norris joke. One time I was fighting with a snake for 3 days. After an arduous fight in 7 days, the snake finally gave up and died. That's the Expendables. It's action hero jokes.
I'm referring to like the level of action of the Expendables.
Yeah.
Is in the new Fast and Furious movies,
and they've gotten way, like, obviously they're still cars, and they still kind of show their roots in the kind of street racing thing, but it's definitely gotten far out there. Like, at what point Dwayne Johnson comes in, and then fucking Jason Statham comes in? Like, yeah, it's
they lost me when they start putting Little Bow Wow in the movies.
They started putting what?
They put Little Bow Wow in the movies. That's where they lost me.
Oh. He was a throwaway character. What was that? Fast 2? Was that 2 Fast 2 Furious?
Yeah, that was like 3 or 4.
No, because the mainstay characters, obviously, not Paul Walker anymore, but for a while there, Paul Walker. Vin Diesel was in a bunch of them? Or no, Vin Diesel is kind of the main character, if you will. But Paul Walker used to be the kind of co-main character. He can't really do that anymore. Yeah.
Paul Walker was in all but the very latest movie.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel missed 1.9 movies.
Yeah.
He was at the last 5 minutes last minute or 30 seconds of the third movie, but he completely missed out on the second one.
The great thing is that Tokyo Drift was kind of, to me, a throwaway movie at first, but I like that they took that throwaway movie and they ended up spinning it back into the story arc, which was actually pretty fucking cool. Like you could tell when they originally made the movie, it was not meant to be part of, like, they had no direction for that.
Yeah, it was looking like the sequel to The Punisher or the sequel to the second movie of the Triple X series.
Yeah.
Which apparently, this seems to be something Vin Diesel is doing, is the throwaway sequel movies. He's like, you know what? I'm going to get back into this franchise. Let's roll with it. Let's go.
Oh no! Have you any of you guys seen the latest Triple X movie?
No, I have not.
The Return of Xander Cage.
Yes, the return of Vin Diesel. He's back, like, because there's a second Triple X movie with Ice Cube.
Yeah,
I think it was.
Yeah, I remember the first one with Ice Cube.
No,
I remember they made like one or two of them. I didn't know they made any more.
Triple X State of the Union or whatever it was. That was the second one on there. Was Ice Cube. But this one doesn't really feature Ice Cube. It's essentially, now they're essentially forming a Triple X team with Vin Diesel at the head. So it's pretty much Fast and Furious. But instead, no cars. It's literally it.
Those just explosions.
There are explosions, gunfire, crazy action.
Is it directed by Michael Bay?
No, it's the
But he has explosions.
But no, here's the thing. So here's the thing: is that instead of crazy car stunts, they do crazy other action stunts. But here's the fun part about it: is that this one does do things a little differently, while they've kind of shaped Fast and Furious to have people that have a little bit more specialities, like especially Ludacris's character. I love the fact that Ludacris is the hacker in the movies. Like, that's not the way he started, right? He started he was Flava Flav in Too Fast, Too Furious. Let's be honest. But now, of course, what's his name? God damn it. The guy who was also in Too Fast, Too Furious, and I can't remember his name. Shit. It was Brian's buddy. Whatever the case is, he's kind of the
Ramon?
Huh? Yeah, I think his name's Ramon.
I can't remember his name. I know,
but I can't remember the actor's name. But whatever the case is, he's kind of the comedy act, if you will, the comic relief. The thing is that they're essentially shaping Triple X up to be largely yet another ensemble movie with Vin Diesel. Honestly, and I'm pretty certain that his money's behind all this. You got to realize, all right, so if you look at a lot of video game movies that get released, by the way, look at who's a producer of a lot of them. You know, the Hitman movies, you know, the Assassin's Creed movie, you know, the World of Warcraft movie. Guess who was one of the people that was bankrolling those movies? Vin Diesel. Like, this guy,
that's the thing, is like, you know,
he's an uber nerd.
His roots, he's a nerd, he's a gamer, he is a traditional board gamer, you know, D&D gamer.
Yep. Yes, he is. And that's actually the last.
Since he's such a badass in these movies, nobody gonna talk shit to him about it.
No, straight up, the movie The Last Witch Hunter totally was spawned out of his D&D character entirely.
Yeah.
And it was actually a pretty damn good movie. I'll give it credit. I actually didn't mind it. So, but yeah,
it didn't gain as much popularity as I felt it should have. But yeah, it was not a bad movie.
But yeah, so moving on real quick. Let's get on to Ubisoft here. So obviously there's some rumors going around about Assassin's Creed Origins.
Camels.
Yeah, camels. So they're gonna
be moving forward in time with this series of games. You know,
well, I think this is supposed to be a soft reboot.
Yeah, it's a soft reboot, so they're going back to Origins, which I think is fine, and it might give them an idea to kind of rebuild the way that they shape the story, because I feel like that they kind of how to put the spoiler, at what point a certain source character died, kind of was like, okay, what?
I would say everybody has regrets in their career. And I'm absolutely sure Michael Fassbender regrets that movie.
Oh, God. Let's not go there. No, I'm talking about in the actual video game series.
I know the games. I just randomly thought of that.
one thing about Assassin's Creed, I'm really hoping that they don't go back to making it a yearly IP, because that's
Yes.
where people got that series fatigue. I think they could have got away with taking a couple more years off.
Yeah, and the thing
Um,
is that when did Syndicate come out? Was it
they only took
2015?
1 year off, 2016. They only or 2015. They
Yeah,
only
it's
took
20.
1 year off.
Well, they're not releasing it this year, I don't think.
That's not what I heard. I heard it's coming out this Christmas.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Um,
Maybe I was
that's
wrong.
what I've heard. I know they're all rumors right now, but I think they could have done away with the series until about 2020.
Yeah.
Did a real reboot, and then maybe release one, and then do it like Tomb Raider's doing. You get
Yep.
one every 2-3 years.
2-3 years, and I like for how fast Ubisoft can crank out titles. Like, first of all, Ubisoft is a pretty big developer. Like, their development teams are pretty massive. They're on scope of BioWare for how many people that they have access to, right? So
That disappoints me. They have all those people and only spend all this money and only spend a year on Andromeda, but that hurts.
we'll talk about that if we have some time at the end here, if you guys are up for it. But the other thing for Ubisoft is Far Cry 5. Obviously, there was a cover art released, and I think there was a trailer at some point. There's
a few trailers and people are saying that it's racist.
Yeah, well, that's because it's essentially like it's Deliverance, right? You've got essentially the freaking the white religious fanatic cult. I mean, that's kind of where they're going with it, which I think the reason why people are going that direction with how they're treated on there is because of the current political climate, right? There's a lot of anti-white rhetoric going around, so therefore anybody who's against that political position is going to immediately call this game racist. Personally, I don't fucking see it. It's essentially Deliverance. You've got the good old boy religious fanatics out in the boonies that there might be a little bit or a lot of bit of incest. That it's that trope. It's not a white thing. Well, I mean, okay, you don't ever hear that trope applied to any other race, but but it's not necessarily a white thing. It's just it's an old trope that gets recycled into movies as a villain or as a antagonistic force of that kind of the homegrown good old boy type of thing, and that's kind of what they're going with here. But Paragon was saying that he's looking forward to it because they have one of the BioShock Infinite writers working on it. To be fair, BioShock Infinite was the weakest of the BioShock series as far as story goes.
Well,
I love the characters.
Difference on that too. You'll get a difference on that too, because there's people like me. I didn't
catch up on BioShock.
I can't get through the first BioShock. I get bored of it, and maybe it's because I waited so long.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Infinite.
Honestly, I love some of the characters. Like, I love the one couple. What the fuck are their names? The two doctors.
I can't remember at this point. We're talking Infinite.
I can't remember. But those guys fascinated me because they're essentially without jumping in too much of an explanation, Xaiphen will know my reference on here. Essentially, to me, they are the Traveler. And so that's where there's a lot of that's an inside conversation that no one's going to get the reference to. There's no public reference to that. That's something that Xaiphen and I know about, and that's it. But essentially, that's there's a lot of story behind it. But that's why it fascinates me so much. Is essentially the characters that are out of time that are and when I say out of time, I mean like outside of time. And they're able to
not the anachronism that goes with the BioShock in general.
Yeah, and like I said, there was a lot of stuff in BioShock Infinite that I was fascinated with, especially that ending. Oh my god, the ending of that game was.
Don't spoil that because I will be getting to that game. It is in my library. It's backlogged. I will get there.
So no spoilers, but the ending of that definitely. Whew, there's some major like blows to your mind whenever you're going through that same go. So like I said, when I say BioShock Infinite is the weakest of the series, I'm saying that as in I still think it was a great fucking game. it was just, to me, the weakest game in the series. So that's
Right.
it's like
That's
saying
speaking
it's like
highly of the
saying to
series.
me Superman is the weakest superhero in the DC universe. He's still fucking Superman. He's still a superhero. he's still like a big strong guy that's not indestructible. But yeah, so that one on there. Obviously, there's also the South Park Fracture Butthole. I love saying that fast
October.
because that's amazing. No, it didn't get delayed.
It got delayed. They gave it another release date.
Oh no,
October.
so now the role playing game has a firm release date for this October. Okay.
October, I think the 18th.
Yeah. So that's a fun thing on there. There's some random other odds and ends for Ubisoft
I think
that
the
no one
only
cares
other
about.
game that we didn't really touch on that I'm interested in this E3 now is Destiny.
Oh, Destiny 2. So yeah, that I imagine that Ubisoft will probably be talking about Destiny or no.
Activision. Doesn't do a show.
Why am I thinking?
assume it's going to be on the Sony stage.
Oh, okay. That's kind of silly because it's not just Sony.
Because Sony has the exclusivity deal and they do the exclusivity like Call of Duty does.
Get fucked, Sony. Goddamn timed exclusivity bullshit.
Oh no! Actually, it's worse than Call of Duty because what it is in one, their exclusivity, at least for the first Destiny, was a year, where you only got certain guns, and that was in the base game. Came year 2, when Taken King came out, or after Taken King, and you were supposed to be at year 3 at this point. A lot of the Taken King guns never made it to Xbox.
That's just a load of shit. Like honestly.
It is.
Yeah.
Like
It is. Now, here the guns that Xbox missed out on weren't that great, but it's just the point that they weren't.
It's the principle of the matter, yeah.
Right.
No, I agree. I think timed exclusives are the most egregious of exclusivity. Like you have so if it's a first party developed exclusive, like something like Halo or Uncharted or whatever, that's the least egregious one. That's the one where I'm kind of like, I don't like exclusives, but in that regard, I can at least say, hey, they developed this internal
right of way on that one.
Yeah, that to me, that's one where they can at least justify it, and I can say, you know what, they made the game, so they developed and published the game internally, whatever. And then the standard third-party exclusives that we see a lot, those are the ones where I'm kind of like, that's just bullshit. But timed exclusives are the worst. They are straight fucking anti-consumer, where essentially because you didn't have this console, you have to watch everybody else play with this stuff for a year before you get to. Come on.
Exactly.
Anyway,
it's going to be interesting to see how they do it with year 2 too, because the word going around is PC is the place to play Destiny 2.
Yeah.
So are they still going to do that bullshit that PC players aren't going to stand for it?
Yeah,
this game will die fast on PC if that shit occurs.
It will get crucified. PC players for what you can criticize PC players for a lot of things.
They stand up for themselves.
They definitely do not stand for fuckery like that, and that game will get crucified if it does not. If it gets some bullshit like that pulled on there. It's happened in the past. It will happen again, and I hope
with Activision. It makes me I want to play this game on PC. I wanted to play this game on PC.
Mm-hmm.
But with Activision,
it felt like it should have been a PC game from the start. Even whenever
it feels like a PC game. The original does.
Yeah, because when you're browsing through the menus and selecting planets, you have a fucking cursor that you're browsing through shit on.
It basically feels like you're using a mouse and keyboard. Well, not like a mouse and keyboard, but it's set up like a mouse. It should be a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, I hope that they don't pull that shit, because, like I said, I'm not necessarily huge into Destiny, but at the same time, I don't want the game to fail just because I don't play it. You know what I mean?
See, where I really liked Destiny. My only problem with Destiny is I hated playing it on a controller. I don't like aiming guns with a controller.
Yep.
Especially in first person.
I definitely agree.
Give me my mouse and keyboard. Hopefully the game will have some legs on it on PC, and I'm happy.
Yep. But and then just to kind of close things off here, I really don't want to talk about them because of my my just loathsome opinion of them. but
Bethesda?
Bethesda also. So there's that rumor going around of what is it, the Starfield or whatever, that may or may not be announced. The one thing that we will obviously get a very specific announcement on is, and not necessarily announcement because it's already been released or going to be released. I can't remember. I haven't checked the date on it. But the Morrowind expansion for Elder Scrolls Online.
It came out this week.
Yeah,
That
it
just
did
came
come
out
out this
today.
week. Yeah, it came out today. Yeah, so and
Oh, today? I
Yeah.
thought it came out Tuesday.
Yeah,
I
think
would
it was today.
absolutely-
Maybe it was yesterday. It just popped up on Steam for me.
yeah, I would love to actually play that, but unfortunately, I'm at odds with the Elder Scrolls Online thing. I have the game that I
I
got.
was actually going to ask you about that because I'm interested.
So here's
But I
my
don't want
thing.
to go. I don't necessarily. If I'm going in alone, I'm just going to pick it up probably on PS4.
So here's the
But
thing.
if I have people to play with, I'll play it on PC.
I actually want to get back into playing it, but here's the downside is that so I own the base game. I don't think any of the DLC content for it or what have you. But I really the problem is they don't have a package deal that I can really get behind. They have the gold edition on Steam, which I can't buy. I can't upgrade to from my copy of the game. I can't even upgrade to it directly from Bethesda, and that's where I have the game from, is directly from Bethesda, not through Steam. And you cannot connect it through Steam. If you have it directly through Bethesda, if I buy it on Steam, I have to create a new account. It's all kinds of fuckery. So, but I've been hopeful that at some point maybe I have the funds or someone gifts me the whole package, the gold edition of Elder Scrolls Online and the Morrowind upgrade, because that's expensive. You're talking $60, not on sale. Maybe Steam Summer Sale will make something happen.
Oh, actually, so you can't just upgrade to the Morrowind?
No, I can't. Oh no, I can buy it. The thing is that I'm at this junction where there's several DLC pieces on there that I want to be a part of. Thieves Guild, they did the Dark Brotherhood DLC that both look fucking amazing and fun to do. The problem is that either I'm faced with a choice of paying for a $15 subscription to have access to all of those, or I can buy them all standalone. Which is what my current option is to buy them all standalone, which would get insanely expensive because they're anywhere from $5 to $20 a piece. I think Morrowind's actually $40 a piece, or $40 for that one. Or the other option I have is to get the gold edition of the game, which I can't upgrade to. I would have to buy. So I have my only option to buy it. I cannot buy it directly from Bethesda because can't upgrade it. It's not even an option for me to play. I would have to buy the gold edition on Steam, which would mean I have to do an entirely new account, because the gold edition has all of the previous DLC, I think, on it at a huge discount. So it's kind of
Bethesda,
bullshit.
you had one fucking job.
Yeah, it's all sorts of fuckery. So I've been like, hey, I really want to get into all of this DLC because all of it fucking is awesome to me. Like Morrowind's just like the cherry on top. Like the Dark Brotherhood one, that looks fucking awesome. The Thieves Guild looks fucking awesome. And I can't really do any of them. And the game is legitimately fun. I've played a bit of it. I have like a couple of like level 10 characters. Nothing insane. I haven't got into end game stuff or anything like that, but I've played enough of it to know that the game is fairly solid. It's still an MMO, and you can definitely tell there's definitely a MMO thing on there, but it looks good, and it plays fairly good for an MMO. The downside, like I said, is that I'm looking at least a what it be like, depending on the price you get it, $60 plus $40 for almost $100 investment to rebuild everything on Steam. And
you have to decide if that's worth it.
Yeah, and that's the catch on there is I'm really thinking like, hey, that would be great. Maybe I'll see it like on a Steam sale where the game is next to nothing, and then I'm only looking at maybe $50. But even
when it goes on sale, the base game goes for like $10.
Yeah, it does.
Like it was on sale on Humble Bundle like 2 weeks ago for like $12.
And I actually got the base game for free, but it was direct through Bethesda, and
I remember that. I think you did the review copy.
Yeah, so I And that's the thing is that
Which is why they won't let you directly upgrade it.
no, they don't let anybody. If you own the base game, because the base game that I got, the review copy I got was base game. It was just the normal everyday game that everybody else gets, right? The catch is that in order for you to anybody who has that base game to upgrade, you have to buy all the DLCs in game. You cannot buy
You can't buy the DLC.
Exactly. Whereas if you buy the gold edition, they come packaged with it. So it's a lot of fuckery the way that they do it, and it's like, so if I bought the base game, like when it launched, right, I have to do that slow ass upgrade path. I don't have an option on there, which is to me that it's a lot of fuckery, more fuckery that the game has had problems with. But
I'm looking at mine now too, like because I was thinking about just buying the Morrowind expansion, like so that $60 ain't getting me everything.
yeah, no, and the thing is that you don't want to buy just the like because the normal base game I think is $30 at this point. The gold edition's the one that comes prepackaged with I think it's all or at least it's most of the expansions that launched previously, and then Morrowind is a DLC on top of it, so that's $40. That's not
Yeah,
even
I'm
the
looking
base
at
game.
that. Yeah, so yeah, because Elder Scrolls Gold is a full 60.
Yeah,
Then on top of that, you'd have to buy
the Morrowind one.
Morrowind.
Yeah, and that's like $100 or $105. That is an expensive proposition for anybody trying to get into the game for that Morrowind expansion. That's pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's like, is the gold edition at that point even worth it?
Well, no,
And that's what you have to ask
It
yourself.
is,
well,
it's worth it for the previous DLC.
yeah, the previous DLC is nothing to sneeze at either. Like I said, it wasn't quite as expansive as Morrowind is, but like I said, the Dark Brotherhood was actually like, from what I understand, was actually pretty fucking amazing. Like it's not.
Now, how does this game compare to Skyrim? Because remember, I didn't like
So
Skyrim.
so first of all, it's not. It is not a single play. Like first of all, don't approach it thinking of it like another Elder Scrolls title, because that's not what it is. It is an MMO first and foremost. Now, when you look at it from an MMO standpoint, it looks damn good for an MMO. A lot of MMOs have cartoony graphics that I don't like. This actually that's where it kind of looks like an Elder Scrolls game. It looks pretty good. However, the big things about it is you have this massive world that you can go anywhere in. You can go all across Tamriel. You can go from from Morrowind, or you can go from the Morrowind province. You can go to Cyrodiil. You can go to the Argonia, wherever that there is places for people to be. Previously, those are segregated. Few updates ago, those actually they can join it all together, where you now have one world that you can go to, and everything scales. Like you get level scaling, so that way you're not super underpowered if you go to a higher level area, which is sort of nice, but not really ideal because you don't get all the skills and abilities for that level. You just get the stats, which, But if you're looking for a more comparative experience, I would say in some ways, now not game mechanics wise, but the experience that it feels like in some ways is a bit more like what you would see from Morrowind. Obviously, with the exception of graphics, huge graphics difference because it's not a 20-year-old game, and fully voice acted and all of that. But the overall way that some of the world feels like it's going through is more like Morrowind than it is like Skyrim.
Okay, yeah, because my beef with Skyrim, I think part of it was it didn't age very well.
Yeah.
I didn't like Skyrim very much mechanically. I didn't like the story. I didn't like the world. It just felt empty and lifeless, and I think that had a lot to do with it being on the PS3 and 360.
So to be fair, the main storyline in Elder Scrolls Online, the original main storyline, is pretty much a reskin of Oblivion in a lot of ways. So
Yeah, and Skyrim is the only Elder Scrolls game I played.
Okay, so
I played a little bit of this. They had a free weekend a couple months ago, and I played some of this. I like what I played, but I wanted, and I want something that like when we played the what was it, the Star Wars MMO.
Yeah.
And when I was playing WoW, I enjoy both. I enjoy both of them. They were just basically like open world RPGs with a bunch of stories in there.
Yeah.
But I wanted something that played better on a controller because I felt both of those games really needed really good controller support.
And here's the other catch on there too.
That's the wow.
Now I have not. This is another reason for the Steam thing that I'm interested in. I've heard that it has full controller support. For the fucking life of me, I cannot get my copy to work with a controller at all. I can run it
When
through.
I played the demo on Steam, I played it with the controller.
Yeah, so here's the thing: is that
what game is it that you're not getting this to work? Is
Elder Scrolls Online. So the only way I've been able to get any sort of controller working with it is to actually run it through Steam and then use a custom mapped Steam controller profile to it, which is not actually run it as a controller. I'm mapping Steam button or keyboard buttons to the Steam controller. That works, but that's not what is being presented. It's supposed to be complete.
Because your copy of the game is not registering any actual controller inputs, whether emulated or physical.
Exactly, and that's kind of the issue I have. Whereas I think the Steam copy has that piece is more tangible, I guess. So I guess that's kind of the issue that I run into with it. But that's like I said, another reason to get the Steam copy at some point. Like I said, that's a beefy investment to try to look into a game. Like I said, maybe the summer sale might make something a little bit more approachable.
Last few summer sales I've seen this guy on sale, and even now, the more you're telling me this, the more I'm looking at. Man, I'm want to pick this up. It might have to be a G2A purchase. That's the pricing fuckery that Bethesda does.
Just make sure it's the Steam
like if
key.
I don't like the company's pricing scheme, I will jump right onto G2A.
Or you maybe go to Green Man or a not complete asshat fucking site.
Yeah, Green Man's great too. But the whole point is in protest to them. I just don't want to give that company money.
Yeah, I see. Just make sure it's a Steam key, obviously, because if it's not the Steam key, then you'll run into the same fuckery that I'm running into now.
Actually, I'm looking on Green Man now, seeing if I can find the base game.
Yeah, we're 20 minutes over.
Yeah, we're getting 20 minutes over. All right, so last game, I think that was... there's a theory that we may get something about Wolfenstein also.
We've heard that the last couple. I'd love to see it.
Maybe.
Here we go.
And there's also that whole rumor about Starfield.
Emerald Edition.
Huh?
$23.
Wait, what's... Oh, okay. But there's also the... Oh, wait, is it the base game or is it gold? Because if it's not...
base game.
Yeah, so it's not gold edition.
Yeah, it's not good.
But then there's also, like I said...
Yeah, you got to get either gold edition or Tamriel Unlimited to get the Steam working for you.
No,
Tamriel Unlimited.
Tamriel Unlimited was just an update that they did to the whole game across the board. That was whenever they did away with the mandatory subscription model.
It says you need the gold edition or Tamriel Unlimited for it to function with Steam.
Yeah, I have the Tamriel Unlimited edition with mine. That's not like I said. That was a major overhaul of the game's sales structure. Instead of being a buy the game and then a mandatory subscription, that's at what point they changed it to a non-mandatory subscription model, more like SOTOR. Except for SOTOR, of course, does not require you to purchase the game up front. But in any case, real quick before we close down the last...
And I'll tell you about this when we're off the air. I think I found something that might work for you. It's like $60 for it to get the gold and the upgrade.
Okay, but in any case, though, obviously Bethesda's last bit is the rumor of this Starfield game. But it seems like it's kind of it was something that was intended to blend the different Bethesda universes together, like say Wolfenstein and Prey and Elder Scrolls and Fallout. I think that sounds a little flimsy, but that is something that may get mentioned. There's rumors of it.
I hope they don't do that.
I don't know. It seems a little to me. I'm not sure if that's how that will work. Anyway, we are way over time because, oh my god, yes, we are way the fuck over time.
Yeah, because the Which card will start 30 minutes.
Yeah. So in any case, we're gonna get off of here, guys. We're gonna get out of here. We'll be back probably in 2 weeks. Granted that I don't cancel things again like I did last time.
Yeah, I listened to the show last time, was completely on Morty.
Yeah.
Because I was ready to go.
Yeah, no, everybody was ready to go, and I was like, listen, guys, I'm just not mentally there for it. I'll be honest, I was fucking exhausted. And my office was also roasting already, and it was not even 8 in the morning.
We probably could have made it work with Kev hosting, but at that point in time, I just decided to bow out and go car shopping instead.
Hey, there you go. All right, guys, we're going to get signed off here, but we will see you guys all next time for the Pixel Crashers podcast. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the E3 presentation, all that good fun.
E3.
We'll see you guys next time.
Later.
And now we can just let people listen to us chatter on incessantly.
Right. What was I about to say?